Thanks, David. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Lovely to see you all. My first session back after my wedding, which was rather beautiful and wonderful. Slowly getting back into reality at the moment is a little bit sensitive and delicate sometimes. If sensitive and delicate is me with my hands and legs planted across the door going, no, I don't want to. Such a magical time. But it's lovely to be back here, I have to say. Studios are always a highlight of my day. And I always know they're going to set me up well. I hope the same for you. So today, we are looking a little bit at cycles, which is a very simple structure within the embodiment curriculum to learn about the ways we do projects, actions, to understand a bit more about our own personal tendencies of when we're approaching a task or an end result that we're trying to create, and to enable us to bring the benefit of and the breadth of the archetypes to support us in bolstering up any bits of ourselves that tend to kind of leave things a bit undone maybe, or that don't get the best results, and just to learn more about our ways of doing things. So that's what we're doing today, and we're doing it through the lens of lover, which is always quite, in my experience, a very sweet space. So I'm hoping you'll leave this session feeling warm and fuzzy at the very least. Let's have a little check-in to get ourselves into the space and into our time together. Just want to check in, like, is this a first embodiment? Is this a first archetype session for anybody in the room? It is yours, Matt. I wasn't sure if you'd been to one of ours before or not. Well, really warm welcome. It's really lovely to have you here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving it a shot. So let's take a moment just to feel into our bodies. It's really simple. Just feel your bottom on the seat. Like notice the feeling of your bottom on the seat, and notice your posture. How are you sitting today? Maybe take a moment to notice your breathing. Is it a bit, is it deep and steady, or is it a bit shallow? Anything. It's nothing to do with it, just a bit of a connection with your body to notice. And checking in with how you're coming to this session. Like, how are you feeling today emotionally? If we begin with the emotional environment of your body, if like 10 is absolutely amazing, top notch, I feel like I could take on the world with love and enthusiasm, and 1 is, wow, I'm low, I'm struggling. You can give it a number on fingers to tell us how you are, if you'd like to, or on the screen from bottom to top. So we've got some 7s and 8s. We've got a 6. Well, I like this way of doing it, Victoria. It's quite good. You don't take up loads of space. Yeah, okay, kind of mid-range. And I haven't got my chat open, suddenly realized. An 8 from David, and a 7. And a 9 from Anuba. Good for you, girl. Beautiful. Okay. And how's your energy following that? So, you can be feeling great inside, but actually still feel a bit soft and maybe not ready for action. So if you're on the screen, maybe this time, if this is low energy and this is high energy, where are you on the screen? Kind of got some lowish and some middling and some high. Beautiful. Okay. So this is a reminder that our sessions are very, very powerfully based on the principle of self-responsibility, that you know what's going to work for you, that your body in particular, sometimes your head might get in the way of a good assessment of that, but your body knows what is going to serve it. So check in, and if you need to make adjustments, if your energy is low and you want to keep things quiet, I don't think you're going to be too stretched today, but follow as you need to follow. Yeah, follow your own sense of what's going to serve you in the moment. And also the other principle that we just ask is to keep confidentiality. These sessions are recorded. So confidentiality is almost more noticing that this is a recorded session. So anything you want to keep personal, please just keep it quiet and keep it to yourself, because other people will be seeing this. Or keep it in the chat, put it in the chat, which isn't part of the recording. Okay, is that clear for everyone? Yeah, great, thank you.
But then, Thea, if you choose to read them out, that maybe anonymize them so that there's no connection. That's all for the recording.
Yeah, thank you, David. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, guys, so let's get in. It's a very brief time that we have today. So the cycles, very, very brief setup. We're going to mostly explore this through movement, but to give you a brief bit of information, some of you are studying this as part of the training that you're doing at the moment, but we can see the cycles as a set of partitions or different parts of a movement or an action. And quite often we align those to the seasons. So you have the springtime, which is planting the seed, which is preparing the soil, which is coming up with the ideas and the inspiration and deciding what it is you're going to do. You have the summer, which is when you move into action. Summer is the delivery active stage of the creative process. Then you have autumn, and autumn is when you start to bring the action to a close, when you close off the action, when you assess how you're going or the impact of what you've done. And then you have a winter, which is time between, which is not doing. Can have some reflection in winter about what's been, but it's really good also to have a winter practice that is not about you in action or you assessing, but is you resting. And it's I don't want to make generalities because it's different for everyone. Some of you may be brilliant at winter, but I've found in general winter is often a little bit diminished in our society. So what we're going to do, if you'd like to join me in some movement, we're going to explore first the cycles for yourself, like by doing a simple action. What do you skip over, or what do you really love? Where's your comfort zone in the cycles? Is it in spring? Is it in summer? Is it in autumn? Or is it in winter? And then we're going to bring lover into that embodiment and see what differences that makes. So how can lover support you in maybe a different way of experiencing the cycles in your own body and ways of being? Okay, so if you'd like to join me standing, you can do this seated if your energy requires it, or any physical issues require it. And I need to remember not to be against the light. Okay, so there's no need to prepare for this. We're going to start with a really simple action of moving to touch an opposite wall. So it's kind of seeing it as an action, like you're choosing to touch the opposite wall for a reason. You have a reason for this. You need to touch the opposite wall for a reason. So take a moment to go and touch the opposite wall. Without thinking about it too much, go and touch the opposite wall. And then come back. And have a little moment of reflection. If you're thinking about this as the cycles, as the seasons of spring, summer, autumn, or winter, something became really obvious to me right then, because I started this before really anybody would have had time for a winter. So I moved into the next stage without there being much of a winter time, which I find interesting. because I thought I was getting better at winter. So what do you notice? The start point, the touching, the ending, the touching, the space between. Which bit is comfortable for you? Which bit is most your natural space? And maybe do it a few times to feel into that, as it might be a new area for you. And you can vary the action as well. You can go and touch a wall. You can maybe find something and move it as your action, or fold something that's in your space. So undertake 2 or 3 simple actions in the room and notice how you respond to the different parts of that. And then gather in a few observations for yourself, and maybe if you'd like to share them, please do. What are you noticing about yourself and the way you approach your cycles? Are you a spring person? Is it all about the ideas and the thinking about the doing of the thing? Or are you relieved when you move into action with it? Or do you forget to finish? And then you'll notice some parallels in life, for example, potentially about the way you do things. Like when you meet somebody, do you find it hard to leave them? Do you find it hard to bring in your autumn and close things down and move on to the next thing? Or is it all about the anticipation? So if anybody would like to unmute and share their observations, we'd love to hear.
So I really noticed, like, I really love spring, but even with an activity as simple as touching the wall, I really noticed that I can slip into overthinking that then actually, lots of people nodding here. But yeah, get into overthinking, and then sometimes that can lead to, worry and then anxiety. And, so actually it's a bit of a relief to get into action, which is, I was just really surprised at just as something as simple as that highlighted a pattern that I have in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, it is ridiculous how the simple things can show so much, isn't it? I think we've got a little time. Yeah, Greta.
I noticed, this was not really a consequential action, so it was just so I took an object and I enjoyed looking at it, which will probably be the summer part. But then again, when I put it back, it was good to put it back, but then I went directly into doing something else. So I skipped winter, and I have a tendency of skipping winter.
No way, Greta, surely not you. Yeah, it's good to know. Hey, it's really good to notice. And I honestly, as somebody who's been working with the cycles now for 3 years, I cannot recommend getting a winter practice highly enough. Giving yourself the permission to take time out between things is very productive. Very, very productive. Yeah, beautiful. Good to know. So we've got in the chat, slight reluctance to spring, but with a willingness to enter the other seasons for others, as if not for myself, and a relief to enter winter. Nice. Okay. That's great to know. Yeah, good, great observations. So much of this is about self-awareness. Like when you know these things about yourself, you can start clocking them in how you behave in life and gently start to make adjustments to get a richer, fuller experience maybe of the other parts of action. So now we're going to try it with lover and see what difference that makes. And this time I'm going to suggest that we do the actions together. So I'll lead a little bit with the different parts of the action to keep reminding you to bring lover in. Okay, so if you'd again like to join me standing, and again, this is perfectly fine to do seated. So lover, for people less familiar with our work so far, lover has the qualities of receiving and giving, of connection, of community. Lover is a kind of very generous archetype, but also boundaried. Lover can quite often be felt in the hips, particularly if that's a kind of easy access for you. A gentle movement of the hips can start to bring a feeling of lover into your body. You can also bring it in by moving into a more receptive, letting life come to you embodiment. So stepping back on your back foot, letting a little bit of weight go backwards so your weight is more back than forwards, and opening your torso. Open arms. You can imagine that this area is softening and opening. And do it as sometimes if you have the embodied awareness, that's something you can do easily, but if not, imagine it. Just imagine a softening across your chest. And an opening. And maybe if you're comfortable to do it, a little sigh occasionally. And a smile. If you can find one, if it's in you. I suspect in Uber, that's not going to be difficult for you today. Smile, receptive. Your lover might feel serious today. So as I say, adjust for what's true for you. But I find a smile actually helps. And sit with this for a moment, this sense of lover being in your body, that in your body is this enhanced ability to give and receive love, to create connection, love to yourself, love to others, love to the things you do. And then select an action, choose an action. What are you going to do? Very simple thing again, can be the same sort of thing. And in lover, how does it feel to be in the spring of that, in the preparation, in preparing yourself for it? Is there a difference? And then when you're ready, take it into action to do the thing that you've said with the lover in your body. And notice if that is different. When you've completed the action, take a moment to withdraw from it. Close it down. Have your autumn. Maybe think about how it went. And with lover in your body, take a moment to pause. And how does that feel? And then I'm going to suggest that, again, keeping lover alive and occasionally checking in to see if your embodiment has gone back to normal, or have you still got that lover softness in you, to do a few more in your own time. And once again, to be staying aware of what differences that brings up for you, or what differences you note, if any. And when you're ready, come back to seated, to the screen. Complete your last action. Give yourself the fullness of your own practice. So in the chat, or if you'd like to unmute. Gosh, I can really feel Lover's impact in my voice. Suddenly less strident, less teachery. Please let us know. What did you notice? What do you notice? What does Lover facilitate or make easier? Or what subtle changes does it bring? I mean, I had a completely different experience with Lover myself, but I'd love to hear from you guys. So feel free to put in chat. Jeannie, please share.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I found a complete shift in my spring, which I did like before, but this time it was even more lovely in the sense of embracing lots of ideas. And I had that acceptance that it's okay, it's all just about creating ideas and seeing what the bigger picture is, rather than criticizing myself for overthinking. And so that was a lovely, nice way of doing it. I'm quite shocked about how lovely bringing that Lover can change how the other seasons play out as well.
Yeah, beautiful, Jeannie. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I had a very similar experience. And one thing I found when one of the things was to just plump a cushion on a seat. And while I was in the action phase of it, I suddenly realized, oh, somebody's going to sit on this and it'll be more comfy. It's like, oh, before it's just it was a job, just do it. And then suddenly it was a job with meaning. It had more meaning and more reason for me to do it. Yeah, thanks for sharing, Jeannie. Would anybody else like to share their experience? Greta, please do.
Well, I noticed a deep-seated pattern of I was just going to my plants and kind of petting them, and which was kind of a non-productive activity. And I have this pattern with having to do something productive all the time, being a good girl, and not just enjoying myself and enjoying the surroundings, but having to do something. So notice that, yes, I do need to, well, then I do need taking more time for the winter part, for the self-care part, for doing something that's fun and maybe creative and not just have to do things. So maybe it's a little bit, yes, the necessity of winter.
Yeah, really. Yes, winter is necessary. Winter is necessary. Thank you, Greta. We got something in the chat. Very interesting. Lover brought change in how things were done, as if done with more intention for myself. Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. It's my experience as well. And it is intriguing, isn't it? I mean, you think you're doing something and you're just doing it. Yeah, this is how I touch a wall. This is how I move a thing. And then you purposefully change your embodiment and you have a completely different experience. And I find that mind-blowing again and again, which is why I do this work. Yeah, it's really beautiful. So we've got time for one more share if anybody would like to. A new bow.
This was really interesting because I realized that with the presence of Lover, suddenly my presence was shifting and I was so much more aware of details about each step, like how I'm walking. I went to see outside my balcony and I noticed things which there's some lovely flowers I hadn't noticed are there, and even coming back, and also a deeper presence with the winter rather than just jumping into the next part. And while the mind did go into what I would like to do next, but it was more like the seed for spring and not quite jumping beyond where I was. That was really beautiful. Thank you so much for this experience.
Yeah, beautiful. We have an ancient festival here that is I can't remember what it's called, and it happens in like February, so it's still really in winter, but it's a marking of the first moments that things start to think about living again, from the cold into the warm. And so, you know, maybe in your winter it's fine to start giving yourself the glimmers of possibility for new things to come forward. But if that's all you do, then you're not giving yourself a winter. Yeah, and lover is maybe a way to go, okay, leave that again now and go back into rest, to get that full embodied permission for yourself. Okay, so what I'd like to do is take a little minute, still in lover, still feeling that, imagining that softness, imagining that sense of lover being a part of you. You know, this is an aspect of you that is as alive and valid, but maybe a little bit more unpracticed as other bits of you. Can your lover give you some ideas about how you can remember to bring lover into the way you do things? Embodiment is a practice. So are there any little things or tricks or ideas or practices that you could develop that are going to help you to remember that this is accessible? When you've got something, doesn't need to be a huge list of instructions, just a hint sometimes. For me, I got that Thurston and I usually, we spend time looking at our plants to see what's flowering. We go into the garden together and have a little look around. And for me, that's a moment to remember that I can bring lover in as a practice, because if I do it on that point of the day, I'll start to do it more often as I get more, you know, habitual about it. So has everybody got something that they can, a hint or a help to take lover into their day a bit more actively? Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, we're going to complete there then. I don't know if you want to quickly finish with anything, David.
Thank you, Thea. That was really lovely. I just wanted to say that this session is recorded, so if you wanted to watch it back again, we'll be posting it in the Facebook group. And also we have an Archetypes Academy YouTube channel, which I'm going to put in the chat.
You've muted.
Thank you. There are loads of other recordings on the YouTube channel that you can watch back. So if you subscribe to that, then anytime I put a new one on, then that will jump in on there as well. So just to let you know that that resource is available at all times. Back to you.
Great. Thank you, David. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning. If you'd like to unmute to say your goodbyes, we love to hear you at the end. Have a beautiful day, or a beautiful rest of your day if you're a bit ahead of us in time. And we'll hopefully see you next week.
Thank you very much, Thea and David.
Thanks so much.
That was a great session.
Thank you.
Hope you feel better, Matt. Take care of yourself.